Trading Hands, written by Christian Smith, read by Christian Smith. Issue 3, Persuasion. Prologue. A dark-complected man was slowly marched down a hallway, with cuffs on his hands and an orange shirt and identification number on his breast pocket. The man was pushed along by a bald guard with a grin on his face. Metal clanged and men screamed as the men kept walking down the hall.
"How'd those superpowers work out for you?"
A tiny man in a cell growled like a bear.
"Oh, look, the mighty Taskmaster passes!"
Another man screamed.
"Let us all bow to the man that couldn't defeat a teenager."
A laugh erupted, and Taskmaster scowled.
"My men abandoned me,"
Taskmaster screamed, but his words were swallowed up by the crowd.
"Tell them, guard, my men abandoned me. It was an unfair fight. Tell them! Tell them!"
"Listen, kitty cat," the bald guard spoke into Taskmaster's ear as they continued to march the hall. "Nobody cares. You lost, and now you pay for it." Taskmaster's eyes were wide as he began to speak.
"What about the boy? The Punisher? Why isn't he here?"
"I don't know if you know this,"
the guard grinned,
"but your criminal record is enough for a death sentence. You won't have a mask to hide behind anymore, Kenton, so shut up."
"Don't call me by my name,"
Kenton the Taskmaster spit.
"I asked why the boy, the Punisher, isn't here."
"He's gone to a correctional facility, but his sentence was lowered because his actions were proven to not be all his own,"
the guard quietly said.
"Lies!"
Kenton yelled.
"The power just brings out what's truly underneath."
"Listen, Mr. High and Mighty Taskmaster,"
the guard sarcastically growled.
"Enough with the stupid, gravelly voice. I know it's all fake, so just talk normally. You don't want to lose your voice. Not in here. You'll need it."
The Taskmaster straightened and finally spoke in a normal, smoother voice.
"Listen, guard. You might think you're safe behind these bars. You think I'll be useless. But I'm the Taskmaster, jerk. I have more fighting skills up here in my head than Jackie Chan. I've watched the best, so I am the best. That's my power."
The guard finally shut him up by throwing Kenton into a cell and slamming the door shut. A tall, skinny man sat reading a book in the corner of the cell. Kenton jumped up and ran to the cell door.
"Wait, guard!"
Kenton, the Taskmaster, yelled.
"I was ordered to room alone. I'm dangerous. This power can't get in the wrong hands."
The guard, who was walking away, turned his head and uncaringly yelled,
"Yeah, but this jail is pretty full. You'll get a cell to yourself soon. Just wait a couple weeks."
"No, it's dangerous,"
Kenton yelled.
"Are you scared of a skinny man who reads all the time?"
The guard yelled louder as he walked away.
"You'll survive."
Taskmaster turned back around and looked at the man in the corner cautiously.
"You stay away from me,"
Taskmaster commanded, shaking his finger. The skinny man then dropped his book with a thud and jumped up with a flash, grabbing Kenton's neck and slamming his head against the cell door. With no mask, the Taskmaster almost blacked out from the impact. The skinny man was so strong. Too strong. Pinning Taskmaster to the door and using his body weight to stop any leg movement. The skinny man whispered like a snake into Kenton's ear. "Do you have any moves mastered on how to escape this hold? Or did you only ever watch videos on how to fight? That will be your loss. Now, before I choke you to death," the skinny man's words were smooth and evil, "give me your power."
I can't,
Taskmaster stammered.
I don't know how.
"Just let go," the evil man whispered. "Let it go." Taskmaster, helpless, thought hard and let the power leave. It burned as it slithered out of his body, entering the skinny man. Then all was quiet, and Kenton fell down on his knees and blacked out. "Thank you, Kenton. I heard about you on the news. I knew it would be easy. Let's see about getting out of here," the skinny man whispered to Kenton's unconscious body. "My name's Kilgrave. Thanks for helping me, Kenton." At this, Kilgrave's eyes flashed a deadly purple, and he grinned. Chapter 1. Static. No, a buzzing, a droning. On and on. Rebel groaned. She felt pain in her head and arms and everywhere. She slowly lifted her head, causing pain throughout her body. Looking up with squinted eyes, Rebel saw the cause of the buzz. One lone bulb hung from the ceiling, dimly illuminating the room, while buzzing on like a bee. As her eyes adjusted, she blinked, trying to clear her blurry eyes. As the dim blur dissipated, Rebel could see the outline of a figure across from her. She then realized she was sitting at a short table across from a handsome-looking, dark-haired man she'd never seen before. How had she ended up in this nightmare? Rebel thought back, but her mind was as blurry as her eyes had been. "I brought some water," the man across the table said with a slight smile, pushing a glass towards Rebel. "Wait, what happened?" Rebel tilted her head. The man just stared at her as she took a small sip of the cool water. "Justin!" Rebel yelled. "Wait! Where's Justin? Justin Lark. The cop Rebel faltered as memories flooded back into her pained head. The Punisher, the kiss, Christian, Justin Lark, the police car, and then... She remembered now. That's when all had gone wrong. "Justin wasn't a real cop," Rebel stammered. "He knocked me out. Wait." Rebel stopped as the weight of the situation came crashing down. "He kidnapped me," Rebel said with awe. Yes, we did," the dark-haired man grinned. "You said you only needed information on the Punisher," Rebel screamed, slamming her fist down on the table. The man yet again just stared at Rebel with no emotion. But then Rebel stared down at the table she had pounded. Cracks split out from large indentations of where her fists had struck. "Ah!" Rebel exclaimed, jumping backwards from the table, out of her chair. "What'd you do to me?" Rebel screamed, looking at her fists in horror. "Did you truly think you could take away the Punisher power without inheriting them yourself?" the man coolly stated. "That innocent little kiss could be the death of you." Rebel pressed her back against the wall and slid to the floor with a gasp. No, I didn't want this." Rebel held her head in her hands. "Perfect," the man said from across the room. "Then give it up. Give the burden away to me, or Justin. Just leave it to us." "No!" Rebel yelled, staring darkly at the man. "You're evil. You use it for wrong." "Wrong?" the man shouted, standing up. This power is much more than you. It's not just simple right and wrong. Those who wield it must be worthy. Oh, and you're worthy, are you? Rebel sarcastically scowled. Realizing it wouldn't be that simple to obtain the power, the man stood up and exited the room, slamming the single door behind him. Rebel jumped up and ran to the door, but it was locked. Of course it's locked, dummy. Rebel told herself. It could never be that easy. After what Rebel thought was 10 minutes, a young girl stumbled into the room as if shoved, and the door slammed shut again. The girl couldn't have been older than 10. And she hid her head as she cowered in the corner, crying. Rebel got up and sat next to the girl, comforting her until the sobbing ceased. "What's your name?" Rebel softly whispered. The girl paused for a moment, as if she was thinking what to answer, before she muttered, "Bella?" "Oh, Bella," Rebel said. "We need to escape this dungeon together." There was a pause. "Your power," Bella quickly said. "Break down the door." Rebel was taken aback. "How do you know about that?" she yelled. The girl's face tensed in surprise, as if she didn't mean to say the wrong thing. The security cameras," Bella stuttered, gesturing at a camera in the corner of the room near the ceiling. "You were watching me?" Rebel questioned with a harsh tone. "I just do what they say," Bella whispered timidly, lowering her head. "So who are they?" Rebel grumbled with frustration. "Who are you? Why am I here? What's even going on?" Then Bella looked up with a new-found vigor in her eyes. "But we can get out, right? You're strong. You could bust down the door." Rebel paused and then stood up with a start. "Well, it's worth a try, Bella." There was a smile on Rebel's face as she marched to the solid metal exit door in the corner. Rebel pulled back her fist and then shot her arm forward as hard as she humanly could. Metal clanged and creaked, but when the two girls looked at the door, nothing had changed. No dents, no scratches, nothing. Rebel screamed and continued to pound the door with no avail. Then she pounded the walls and the floors until her fists ached and knuckles bled. She finally was defeated and slumped to the ground in surrender. A few tears rolled down her cheeks before she could wipe them away. Then she fell back onto her back and sighed. "Was it all a lie, Bella?" Rebel questioned, wiping tears from her eyes. "I smashed that table, Bella. I know I did. I left marks and cracks in the metal. But I can't break a stupid door. Do I even have real power? Or is it just another game of Justin Lark and his stupid cronies?" Then Rebel looked next to where she was sitting and saw the table standing in the middle of the room. She reached over and grabbed one of the legs, ripping it from the table with ease. She then strained slightly and bent the leg in half. Rebel handed Bella the now bent metal leg with a look of determination. "Bend it." I can't," Bella stammered, but from the look in Rebel's eyes, Bella thought she should try. After a few seconds of failure, Rebel was satisfied and assured of her real and powerful strength. "So why can't I break that door?" Rebel screamed. Then there was silence. "What about me?" Bella looked up with a grin. "Give me the power, and I'll break the door." "The power varies for each person. Maybe I'll receive something powerful enough to get us out." Bella smiled, but there was something sinister behind her grin. Rebel stood up and walked to Bella slowly and cautiously. "Who are you?" "Bella, you know way too much for a 10-year-old girl." Bella's eyes drooped, dropping back into the role of a frightened 10-year-old. I was just thinking I could help." "No!" Rebel yelled for what seemed the 100th time that day. I asked you a question, Bella. Now who are you? Rebel's eyes glared as she stepped angrily towards the little girl. Right before Rebel was standing before her, Bella stood up with a shriek and jumped at Rebel.
Just give me the power! I can break us out!
Using her newfound strength, Rebel easily swatted the lunging little girl, sending her careening into a nearby wall. Calm down, you freak! We'll figure this out together, with clear... Then Rebel stopped. You're with them, she said with awe. Just another part of Justin's sick plans, another pawn in his game. Rebel got louder as she continued. Is that all you're after? Just the power? Then Bella cut her off, picking herself up from the ground she'd been tossed to. Yes, you imbecile. Just give us the power and go home free. Bella sounded like a grown adult speaking from a little girl's shell of a body. No, Rebel calmly stated. Her eyes looked straight into Bella's as she stood firm like a wall. I was given this power, and I will use it wisely. Not like the Punisher, but like the man who had it before. I will be wise, and will be strong, but whoever all you freaks are, you won't get anything from me. At this, Bella became enraged, rushing over and pinning Rebel's face to the hard concrete wall. Pretty strong for a little girl, Rebel coughed. You're as strong as me, you brat. Then Bella started to grow. Her little dress and long hair dissolved, to be replaced by short blonde hair and a police uniform. Justin? Rebel stuttered in shock. But then the creature morphed again, this time into the handsome man who had given Rebel the water, and lastly into a green face that was staring Rebel in the eyes, breathing hot breaths on her face. The creature had long dark hair, and vertical lines grooved into her chin. It took time for Rebel to cope with and understand all that had occurred in that short time of chaos. Justin? Bella? The man? Rebel breathed out and used her strength to push the green woman aside so she could catch her breath sitting down. You're all the same person? Rebel sighed. Yes, the woman said smoothly with calm in her voice. Rebel laughed. You get a lot of friends with this lifestyle? Shut up, girl, the alien said. I am Triller, Thanos' servant, and I am my own friend. Now give me the power. Triller paused and whispered this time with pain in her voice. Please. Slowly, Rebel replied. No, I can't. It's mine. Triller snapped up in defeat. Well, get comfortable. You'll be here a while. The door slammed shut, softer this time, and all went quiet once again. Chapter 2. Guests chattered, and glasses clinked as waiters and waitresses bustled around the small, dimly lit diner. In the corner of the room, two men sat in a booth, locked in conversation. Cannot thank you enough, Darren, for the immense influence you had on my brilliant jailbreak. The first man, a skinny fellow named Obadiah, said gratefully to his partner, Darren, across the booth. Paying off the guard to enable me to room with the taskmaster was ingenious, and without you, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Finally, Darren hesitated, but eventually spoke up, with a noticeably concerned voice. But how did you escape the prison? What mysterious strength were you given to escape? Darren looked very excited, like a small child about to receive a gift. He rubbed his fingers together in anticipation. "Ah, well, why don't I give you a small demonstration? What do you think?" Skinny Kilgrave said with a look of sheer glee. "Now, Darren, you've been the best friend any man could ask for, but I need to finish my mission without any interference from the cops or other interested parties." Darren's eyes went from overjoyed to genuinely confused as Obadiah continued to talk. All of a sudden, the lowly lit diner felt just a bit more grim and foreboding. "So you see," Kilgrave continued with a grin, "I need you to not talk." Darren quickly cut Obadiah Kilgrave off, fearing for his life. Obadiah, we've been friends forever. You know I'd never leak a peep of info about you." Kilgrave looked up with an almost ashamed face. Yes, I know, Darren. I just can't take any chances. Not with something this valuable." Obadiah looked down in shame and rested his palm on Darren's shoulder across the table. "I'm going to have to let you go," Kilgrave whispered, staring sympathetically into Darren's eyes. "You said you wanted to know how I escaped the prison." Kilgrave smiled evilly. Then his eyes turned from the normal blue tint to a deadly dark purple. "This is how, Darren." Kilgrave's voice came out smooth as silk, hanging in Darren's head, making him want and crave Kilgrave to speak again. "Now, walk over to that table over there, pick up that steak knife, and plunge it deep into your temple." Kilgrave said this with power and persuasion. Darren heard the words as if he had thought of them himself. They were sweet and irresistible, forcing Darren to obey without question. Kilgrave smiled, wrapped his scarf around his neck, and strutted out of the building as his friend ended his own life with a knife. Guests screamed and people ran as Darren collapsed to the floor in a bloody heap, but Kilgrave just walked away without so much as a frown. Chapter 3. It had been 3 days since Rebel had arrived in her personal prison. The cold, plain walls and ceilings made her thoughts dry and gloomy. It took all that was inside her to not give up all hope completely. 2 times a day a slit in the door clicked open, and a plate of food would slide over the rough surface, coming to a stop in front of her. The food was tasteless, odorless slop, like a bland oatmeal day after day. Every time the slit in the door retracted, Rebel would yell and yell, trying to reach the ears of the alien woman. And day after day, nothing happened. Rebel wondered what her friends and family were doing. Were her parents out searching? Doing all they could to recover their lost daughter? Was Christian worried? Trying to help the search with the same vigor as he had used in helping Eric? Or was everyone glad, happy that Rebel and her sometimes unpleasant self was finally gone? "No!" Rebel yelled, pounding her fist on the ground, shaking the table in the center of the room. The solitary confinement was getting to Rebel's mind, twisting it and making her think the impossible. "They must be trying," Rebel whispered to herself. "Trying to find me. But they may as well not be. They'll never find this place. I don't even know where I am." It was just too much for Rebel. The confinement, the silence, the waiting. She couldn't take much more. But before her thoughts could continue to wander into darker and darker corners of her mind, the slit opened up, and Rebel immediately yelled before the slit in the door could slam shut again.
Triller, just tell me why you're doing this.
Then the little food door slammed back down, and Rebel cried out again.
Please, Triller, please, just why?
Her food plate was lying in front of her on the cool stone floor, and all was quiet once again. Rebel sighed, surrendering once more to the torturous confinement. But then the door burst open, and the Skrull woman marched in, slamming the door behind her and glaring down at Rebel's curled-up body on the floor. Rebel looked up at Triller with hope and gave a slight smile. The tall, confident woman had on a top with metal plating on the shoulders, elbows, and chest. Her pants looked like a sort of metal mesh, shining tiny reflections from the light bulb in the room into Rebel's eyes. The extravagant clothing made Triller look royal and important. "Speak quickly, girl," Triller glared. "I have important matters to attend to."
I want to know why.
Rebel stuttered. Her speech was more and more weak and unconfident compared to when she had arrived at this prison with a cocky and prideful attitude.
Why are you doing this? I know you want my power, but it would give me some peace knowing what you're gonna do with it.
Triller gave a slight smile, thinking she was edging closer to Rebel giving in and bestowing her powers to Triller herself. "That is a fair request," Triller said, walking closer to Rebel on the floor. Rebel's eyes widened, surprised at Triller accepting her proposition. The alien edged closer to Rebel, then extended her green hand. The fingers moved and morphed, and the hand slowly transformed into a chair connected to her Triller's arm. Triller sat on her hand, which was now an averagely uncomfortable chair. She looked awkward, trying to find a comfortable position. Rebel rolled her eyes and mumbled, "Okay, Your Majesty, just get on the floor. You can clean your royal robes later." Triller hesitated, but she then looked relieved to be on more solid ground as her chair dissolved back into a hand. There they were, two women, born hundreds of thousands of miles apart, from totally different lifestyles, sitting on a dirty stone floor, discussing superpowers. Rebel never would have dreamed this situation could occur in her lifetime. The two sat in silence, both waiting for the other to say the first word. Finally, Triller started in a quiet voice. "You want to know why? Why I crave for the power in your human shell?" "Something like that," Rebel replied with a scowl. Triller shifted herself, preparing for a long story. "This is the story of Thanos, all-powerful. You must understand my Lord Thanos before you can understand truly why I act as I do. Thanos is a Titan, a warrior of the highest order." Triller smiled, admiring her master in her imagination. Then quickly she frowned. "Or, at least, he was a warrior. Thanos has unimaginable power, but he is dying. Many call him the Mad Titan, but I know that under his purple exterior..." But Rebel laughed and interrupted. "Purple? What other colors do you have on your planet? We have enough trouble with black and white skin on Earth. How does green and purple work?" Rebel truly laughed while Triller stared with annoyance. "I am a Skrull," Triller shouted with a hate in her voice. "We have green skin. I am not a Titan, nor do I come from anywhere near the moon of Titan. Most Titans have a purplish hue like Thanos, but that is beside the point. Did you truly think there was only one so-called alien planet in space. There are more alien species in the heavens than grains of sand on your puny beaches. Triller stopped and huffed with exhaustion. Rebel stared wide-eyed, worried that she had said something wrong. I'm sorry. It was just a joke. You can continue. As I was saying, Triller continued with renewed vigor, I know that Thanos is good on the inside, even though many on Titan see him as a war-weary warrior veteran. He still has a fighter's spirit, just none of his old strength. But he was bestowed with great power as a child by the elders on Titan, and because of the good within him, he is willing to give his powers as a gift to one who is worthy of it. That is, if he doesn't pass on before his gift can come to fruition. Triller trailed off, looking to the floor with a sad expression. So, that's how Christian, Eric, the Octopus Man, Taskmaster, and even me received this power? Rebel said with awe. It was all a gift? Yes, Triller slightly smiled. But people died because of this power, Rebel yelled, realizing how dangerous it all was. How's it a gift to mankind if it kills? Triller then calmly replied, The power never kills. The vessel does. In addition, if Thanos finds the man or woman he deems worthy of the rest of his immense power, that individual will do more good than the power could ever have done wrong or bad. Why the Taskmaster and other unmoral characters have obtained the power, I cannot say, but Thanos knows best. Rebel rested her hand on her cheek, staring at Triller with anticipation. Hey, I mean, good story, but what about answering the question I asked in the first place? That little fairy tale didn't quite explain why you're trying to take what your Lord Master Thanos bestowed to me away. So Triller cut Rebel off before she could continue to ramble on. I have disobeyed my Lord and Master. Though I struggle with my actions every day, you remain here. I have disobeyed him because I believe he is making a mistake. I have served Thanos since I was sold to him 120 years ago by my own mother. I have been his most loyal servant for years. Triller became louder, sounding annoyed at her master. And yet, when he wants to give away his power to one who is worthy, he didn't even consider me. Skipping his loyal friend and going straight to humankind. I must show him I am worthy. I must have the power so I can prove that I am deserving of his gift. Triller finally stopped yelling, lowering her head in shame, and then she whispered, That is why I have done what I have done. Rebel felt sympathy welling up inside of her. But, Triller, what if you aren't worthy or powerful enough for Thanos? What if then I would have failed and should not be called a servant of Thanos? But I must try, Triller said solemnly. But I can't give it up, Triller, Rebel started. This power, she said, grabbing her dirty plate full of slop and throwing it so hard against the wall that it broke into more pieces than what even a scrawl could count. This power, it's seductive. Don't you understand what a girl feels like when I have this strength? Even if I have a small chance of receiving Thanos' full blessing, I can't give it up now. I truly hope you do receive this power someday, Triller. But like I said when I first arrived here, it's mine. Triller's eyes darkened. Rebel, you may be human, but I have already strayed from Thanos' plan and am prepared to go much farther in order to achieve my goal. So I'd start praying, because I doubt much could stop me from what I will do to you. Then yet again a door was closed on Rebel, locking her in a desolate prison once more. Chapter 4. Why should I tell you anything? A man questioned with a scowl, staring up at a tall, skinny man in a light purple sweater. The man in the sweater tilted his head. Because my name is Obadiah Kilgrave, and I demand you to tell me, where is the Punisher? Kilgrave's purple eyes beckoned the man to answer without question this time. I was told after he supposedly lost his powers, he was sent to a correctional facility in Aton City. Lost his powers? Kilgrave questioned with power in his voice. Why, yes, sir. Reports say that people think the murderous kid gave his stuff up to a girl. Says who? Kilgrave glared. Just rumors, Mr. Kilgrave, that's all. The man looked into Obadiah's eyes with almost affection from the hypnotism. They say the girl he kissed may have the power now. The power was very much an unknown entity at first, but many have taken up the task of studying this mysterious force. They say the girl may have it now. Kilgrave reached forward and grasped the man's shoulders with tight fists. Well, who is the girl, and where is she now? Obadiah put strength into his words, forcing his eyes to burn more and more purple. I only saw so much, sir. I truly don't know. But that's because we left quickly once we realized our former master, Taskmaster, was to be defeated. But there was a police officer there, named Jason. Oh no, Justin. Yes, Justin. He had a strange southern accent, and he might have seen something. You could head down to the station and ask around. Kilgrave shrugged and nodded his head. Yes. Okay. Maybe the police know more about our mysterious girl than your worthless self. Thank you, whatever your name. I'm Doctor. I don't care. Kilgrave stopped the man from answering. Thank you for your help. Now, here is my pen, Kilgrave hypnotically uttered. Now, once I leave the alley, stab yourself through the temple. Kilgrave smiled, wrapped his scarf, that he never took off, around his neck, and walked out of the alley. Toodles, Kilgrave grinned. Rebel spit out blood as Triller's fist came down on her cheek again and again. It had been a week now, and apparently Triller was growing restless and impatient of Rebel's strength and willpower. I will kill you if I must, Triller shouted, kneeing Rebel in the chest this time. When Christian had defeated the Octopus Man months ago, the power had left Stuart, the octopus-armed man, in a mist, and it had seemed to have chosen the Taskmaster as a good host at random. But Rebel didn't know the specifics of the power's traits. Maybe if Triller killed her, the alien would inherit the power. Or, maybe like in Christian's strange case, the power would leave Rebel in a mist and go to someone else. It was at this moment that Rebel had had enough. And even though Triller was stronger than almost any human, Rebel ducked the next powerful blow and gave Triller a hard uppercut to the chin with all the power within her. Triller stumbled backwards with a groan. Then Rebel took the small reprieve in action to strike Triller with a roundhouse kick, sending her to the other side of the prison room. "You don't even know if killing me will give you the accursed power," Rebel yelled. "Then just give it to me before I break your skull," Triller said, picking herself off the floor. But before the woman could stand fully up again, Rebel heard a beep come from Triller's person. Obviously, it was an important beep because Triller's eyes widened and she whipped a handheld device out of her pocket as fast as she could. She pressed the device to her ear, and two thin metal-looking sticks extended from the top and bottom of the phone, securing the device to Triller's ear, hands free. As Triller began to speak to whoever was on the other end, Rebel sat back onto the floor impatiently. Triller gave a worried hello, and a malicious, high-pitched voice responded. "Are you all right, my dearest Triller?" the voice squeaked. "Of course, sir. Just peachy, as the humans say." But Triller's eyes would have betrayed her words to the man on the other end. "Well, listen, sweetie," the man's words dripped. "Our master himself is a bit upset with you." From the look on Triller's face, Rebel could tell that she despised whoever was talking to her on the other side of the phone. Why is he mad, Tadhawk?" Triller shuddered. "Well, you see, Lord Thanos put you up to the task of following those who receive the power, and reporting to him if they are worthy for our Lord's extremely kind gift." The man's evil smile could be heard through the device. Triller was pacing the room worriedly while talking awkwardly. The man paused to see what Triller would say before speaking after no such response was given. "Well, where is our Lord's report on his newest two powered contestants?" Triller then sidetracked. "You mean to tell me Lord Thanos purposely gave the power to those evil men like Taskmaster? I thought he was looking for those that were worthy." "Don't question Thanos' plan. Just answer my question." Triller could almost feel the spit from Tadok's mouth through the device. "I've been looking, sir. I haven't found the newest contestants after the Punisher." Triller heard Tadok say, like a snake. "Fair enough, my flower. But just remember, if you ever tamper with or harm the contestants in any way, I have the freedom to hurt you in many unspeakable ways. You have 3 days to find the power, or else you might be out of a job." Tadok's words curdled Triller's blood, but she mumbled a yes before Tadok said goodbye. "Talk to you soon, my love." Triller ripped the device off her face and shoved it back into her clothes as if the very phone was dirty. Rebel looked up as if bored. "What's the news, Miss Green and Ugly?" "Just an idiot from work," Triller spit, stomping out of the room. Rebel was happy that Triller wasn't interested in beating her up anymore, and she sighed, lying down to get some difficult rest on the cold, hard floor. Chapter 5. Trust me, mister. No Justin Lark works here, a uniform-clad policeman responded to Kilgrave's question. I wanted this to be easy, Kilgrave sighed, lowering his head. He then quickly snapped his head up, once again attempting to hypnotize the man in order to give him the answer he searched for. The man's eyes softened, and his tense body relaxed behind his desk in the small police station. Then Obadiah, for what seemed the 100th time this week, spewed words dripping with hypnotic tones. Where is Justin Lark, the officer who may know where the girl who kissed the Punisher is? But again, even under the hypnosis, the policeman replied, No Justin Lark works anywhere in North Riot, sir. The uniformed man had puppy eyes staring at Kilgrave, craving another order. Kilgrave looked disgustedly at the brown-haired man and blinked his eyes back to normal. Instantly, the man snapped out of the trance with confusion. Then, before Kilgrave could give up, a voice shouted out from a room farther behind the now confused man. Justin Lark? The voice questioned. Dakin, there's a Justin Lark here, you big liar. Finally, a man turned the corner, appearing behind Dakin, the policeman working at the desk. I saw him at the Punisher showdown. I know I heard someone say his name. Dakin spun around on his chair, looking away from Kilgrave to glare at the man that entered the room with annoyance. You're new, Tim. There's no Justin Lark in North Riot. Dakin's annoyance bordered on anger at the young blonde cop in front of him. I'm not stupid, Dakin, Tim said with a jolly grin. There was a Justin Lark at the fight. Maybe he was from a different town. Kilgrave himself had grown impatient and annoyed, shouting with burning purple eyes. It doesn't matter where he works. If any of you know where he could be now, or better yet, where the pesky girl that kissed the Punisher is, tell me now. The full power of Kilgrave's hypnosis pushed all the truth from the two cops' minds. The first man, the annoyed man named Dakin, spoke first, like almost a robot. I am truly quite dumb, and I know nothing about this. In addition, I never was at the showdown with the Punisher, because I am a weak, puny man, and I hide behind desks instead of working in the field. Dakin's nose crinkled after this, then his head slumped down from exhaustion, bonking on his wooden desk. Kilgrave chuckled, shifting his gaze to Tim. And you, fine sir? I saw a man at the fight, Tim started with a steady, cool voice. I heard him introduce himself to the girl that stopped the Punisher. Then he left with her in a patrol car, but I always wondered why I never ended up seeing them here. Also, one of our cars was stolen that day. It has not been found yet. Tim stopped, staring straight ahead without blinking. You are much stronger, Timothy, Kilgrave oozed. Stronger than your worthless colleague, Dakin. You could do much good outside of the stupid police force. When I leave, strangle Dakin to death and leave this place without a trace. Use all your skills to escape into the night, never to be found again. Also, Kilgrave smiled, unlock the garage for me, would you? After obtaining a patrol car and passwords to the expensive onboard computers, Kilgrave was off on his hunt for Rebel. All vehicles owned by the police had trackers on them, in order to keep track of the individual cops. or to locate stolen cars easily. But obviously this Justin Lark was a smart thief, because the tracker appeared to have been removed as Obadiah stared down at a computer chip, dirty, laying in the middle of an abandoned alley. Kilgrave had immediately driven to the supposed stolen vehicle, since the tracker revealed it parked in a small alley on the outskirts of North Riot. But Kilgrave's hopes were crushed when his stolen vehicle of Justin Lark's was just the tracking device in the middle of a street. But Kilgrave wondered why the police hadn't been here already to collect their stolen vehicle. If the car was stolen a week ago, how was this tracker still here? In addition, the small square chip's battery couldn't last a week on its own. Unless Lark had planted it here, trying to throw them off track. Could Justin have somehow turned the small tracker off until he wanted it? But why would Justin even turn the tracker on at all? If he was able to deactivate it, why even bother to turn the little chip on in a random alley? Then Kilgrave looked again at the chip and squinted, picking up the tracker and wiping mud from the smooth surface. There it was, a small sphere attached to the chip. The sphere was cracked, obviously having been stepped on. The sphere's material and shine was different than anything Kilgrave had seen. The circuitry on the inside of the sphere that Kilgrave could see through the crack was microscopic and more complicated than even the smallest computer parts Obadiah had seen. Whoever this Justin was obviously a genius, or a millionaire. Kilgrave guessed the broken sphere had been a jamming device to shut down the chip-like tracker. But with the combination of mud, rain, and a big foot, the jamming sphere was now dead, allowing the chip to power up and send out its location. Justin was careless about this tracker, and Kilgrave was finally on the right track. Chapter 6. It's been a week and a half, Rebel, Triller said with almost a smile. And yet, after everything, you've stood strong. You haven't budged an inch about your power. I thought of you as a prissy, stupid girl that didn't deserve the power in you when you first arrived here. But I believe you may deserve this power more than I do. I am sorry, Rebel. Truly, after all our talks, I realize now that I must obey my master. So thank you, Rebel. Rebel could tell this small speech of repentance took all that was inside Triller's bulky frame to say. Over the last 3 days since Rebel had been beat up partially by Trillert, the two females had grown surprisingly close to one another, even though Rebel wondered sometimes if she was experiencing Stockholm Syndrome. But Rebel had tapped into Trillert's sorrow and pain about her master's neglect, and the two had become closely knit in an awkward friendship of sorts. Twice a day, Trillert had entered the prison room with a new tactic on prying Rebel's powers away from her. But even after mental torture, tricks, and outright battles, Rebel had held resolute and not let her precious power go. Because of her steadfast abilities, Trillert finally gave up, hoping to figure out how this brown-haired, plain girl had such inner strength. After the girls slowly started talking, a friendship started. A strange one, but a small friendship all the same. Rebel ran up to Trillert, attempting to finally give her a hug. But then the ground shook, and the ceiling quaked as an explosion resounded from the room just outside. The strong cell door exploded forwards as bolts ripped away and concrete crumbled. Rebel caught the sailing door with a firm and powerful grasp. She threw the door aside like a toy and looked up. Trillert had vanished into thin air, and a man was standing in the smoking doorway. "Ah, you must be the girl known as Rebel," the skinny man hissed. "I'm Kilgrave. You have something I want." Rebel chuckled and sarcastically replied, "Yeah? Well, get in line." Two days earlier. After hitting the roadblock of the faulty tracker, Kilgrave had brainstormed for hours on how to find Justin Lark and the girl whose name he found out was Rebel. Kilgrave started his search from square one, at the mall which had been the Punisher's battleground with Taskmaster. He'd searched the whole mall for clues and asked many vendors, but the most anyone knew was that Justin Lark was at the fight. "I knew that already," Kilgrave shouted for the last time as a fashion store owner told him he had seen the police officer in question. "I want to know where he went, or where he is now." Kilgrave sulked to the exit, defeated once again. Standing outside, Kilgrave kicked a small stone in an uncharacteristic burst of anger. A fly buzzed near his head, and Kilgrave swatted at it as he angrily stared up at the sky. There it was. Not the fly, but a street cam on the outside of the building. That camera could help determine which direction the stolen police car went. With his eyes burning purple, Kilgrave talked his way into the mall's main office, and then into the security tapes. Rewinding a week and a half back, Kilgrave saw the stolen cop car, and the path to finding Justin had opened wide once again. After a full day of breaking into houses and businesses with security cameras on the outside, Kilgrave had tracked the car finally to one last location. Obadiah realized that his eyes stung slightly from using his hypnotic powers all day. Kilgrave walked slowly but confidently to an auto repair shop that was closed this late at night. But an upper room of the building was illuminated, giving hope to Kilgrave's heart. Knocking for a minute straight, there was finally some commotion in the building as the person on the upper floor came to the front entrance with annoyance. "We're closed now," the man started before Kilgrave burst in without care. "Let me upstairs and give me access to your security cameras, or I'll throw you off the roof." "Of course, sir," the short, fat man said with a smile. Once again, Kilgrave was sitting in front of a computer, perusing through hundreds of hours of security footage. There it was. Kilgrave finally made it to the video of a small cop car cruising down the street in front of the auto shop. But the car slowed and turned into a driveway across the street from the shop. The lot was abandoned, and Kilgrave was puzzled by the destination of the stolen car. There was nothing there. No building, no parking lot, just a large gravel lot. The lot was quite large, and the car rolled slowly across the gravel, shrinking into the distance of the video. And then it happened. Before the car was too far away to see on the video, it just slowly vanished. The front of the car started to disappear into thin air, right back to the rear, until the car had completely and totally disappeared. Kilgrave zoomed into the pixelated mess of video footage, but over and over again the car vanished right before his eyes. Kilgrave slowly stood up, his mind spinning. He turned to the office worker sitting in the corner, smiling. "Wipe that stupid grin off your face and destroy this footage," Kilgrave growled. "All of it." Kilgrave was too prideful for a simple entrance. His first meeting with Justin Lark had to be shocking and dramatic. Explosives were a definite option on Kilgrave's mind for his destructive meeting, but, other than a few straggling followers of Taskmaster, criminals were lacking in North Riot after Punisher's recent cleansing, and so Kilgrave made a mental picture of the empty lot before leaving town in a new, stolen automobile from the recently visited shop. Speeding along the freeway, Kilgrave saw the sun slowly setting over Cleeville. He wondered what great wealth and power was in his future. Rebel was a problem and needed to be eliminated because she was probably the only one that could even have a small chance at stopping him. Then Kilgrave dreamed. Nothing could stop me. I could stop wars with my power, unite countries. I could rule. Then he paused. No, ruling is too boring. Then Kilgrave's thoughts hit a roadblock. What's the point? What's the end game? Ruling would get boring. Crime would be too easy. What will I do? What would be a challenge for me? Then a thought struck him. What if I fixed this whole rotting earth? Got rid of world hunger, united the world, eliminated crime? I could create a utopia. Then he breathed out. Oh well, one step at a time. After only about an hour and many persuasive words later, Kilgrave had acquired numerous remote-detonated C4 blocks, and a few grenades. The amount of criminals in this town that had helped him made him sick. It was a strange sensation. Just in the last few weeks, Kilgrave had escaped from jail, killed quite a few averagely innocent men, and committed numerous crimes. But yet he was getting upset from all the petty criminals in Cleeville. But then, Kilgrave looked down at the body of the black market dealer who had acquired the necessary explosives. If Kilgrave was going to go straight and help society, he definitely needed to get past his homicide addiction, because the body below his feet was lifeless. Yet Kilgrave loved the feeling. So many conflicting feelings, Kilgrave thought. But murder will always be fun. Kilgrave laughed, slamming the door on his car and jamming on the gas as he skidded out and took off. Chapter 7. Present. Rebel had no clue who the tall, skinny creep was standing in the doorway, but he wasn't going to stop her from getting out and leaving this prison. Then the man again spoke with a strong tone clinging to his voice. At first, I was just going to kill you, which I might still do, but I think your power intrigues me. What did you get, Rebel? Kilgrave said with a softened voice. What did the Punisher bestow on your unworthy frame? If all you're gonna do is insult me, then get the heck out, Rebel blurted, but Kilgrave continued to talk, not even fazed by Rebel's words. Just a few well-placed explosives and grenade tosses or two, and boom, I'm already in Justin Lark's secret hideout. Justin? Rebel laughed. Yeah, sure, Justin Lark is here. Then Rebel continued to chuckle. Kilgrave's face finally changed to slight confusion. Well, where is Justin Lark? It's complicated, Rebel mumbled. Well, it doesn't matter, miss, because I want either your power or your life. Only thing I'll give you is a black eye. Then Rebel sprung forward, attempting to strike Kilgrave in the torso with a disastrous jab. But as Rebel bolted forward, Kilgrave shouted out, clearly frightened of Rebel's strength. Stop now! Kilgrave's purple eyes bore into Rebel's already tired mind. At his exclamation, Rebel felt weak immediately, coming to a stop inches from Kilgrave's chest. Sorry, Rebel muttered with confusion. It's okay, my girl, Kilgrave whispered with slime on his voice, a disgusting sentence full of evil. You have but one purpose. Now tell me, what is your power? As if watching her body through a TV screen, Rebel observed as herself obeyed Kilgrave without question. She picked up the large metal door on the floor and snapped it in two over her knee like a twig. But in the corner of her mind, Rebel wondered how she had broken the door with such ease when she had failed to do so a week earlier. Then Kilgrave's dark voice broke into her thoughts. "Ah, just as I suspected. You have great, great strength, Rebel."
"It must be seductive, isn't it?"
Kilgrave whispered as he slowly circled around Rebel, treating her like a display object to look at and admire.
"Too long I've killed without real action."
He continued as if Rebel was interested in his useless story.
"Too long I've destroyed without getting my hands dirty. I have power in my words, Rebel, but it must feel uncontrollably great to have power in your own 2 hands."
Seeing Rebel twitching as the hypnosis faded, Kilgrave firmly shouted at Rebel once again,
"Don't even think about attacking again, or I'll crush you."
Instead of seductive, calm words, Kilgrave's sentence was full of hate and anger caused by Rebel's pure and powerful force inside of her. Then he snapped back to his point without another strong word.
"I don't even care about puny Justin Lark, or whoever that dork is. I want one thing only."
He paused for dramatic effect as Rebel stood shaking with hatred.
"So please, Rebel, from the bottom of my heart, give me your strength, and I'll leave you be for the rest of your pathetic existence."
As Rebel gazed deeply into Kilgrave's purple, irresistible eyes, she let a tear roll down her cheek, for she realized it was hopeless now, and her power would be gone forever soon. Kilgrave creeped closer to Rebel, approaching from behind. Once his face was right behind hers, he leaned over and whispered into her ears.
"Give me the power now, Rebel."
Rebel broke as more and more tears streaked down her cheek. But she had no control anymore, and she turned around and put her hands on Kilgrave's temples, one on the left and one on the right. And then, with a war raging on in her mind, Kilgrave's influence finally broke through her mental defenses, and she had to let go. The strength in her muscles and power of her body faded, and her power left her like a wind blowing away into nothingness. But yet, in the middle of her body, at the pit of her being, she felt something new. A different kind of strength was welling up inside her, something deep within. Finally, Kilgrave ripped his head back from Rebel's grasp and screamed out,
"It feels so amazing, my muscles so full of power."
At this, Kilgrave, in his power-intoxicated state, swung a fist at Rebel's chest, sending her crashing to the other side of the cell with a grunt.
"Now I see why you didn't want to give this up."
Kilgrave laughed, then he stopped short, staring at Rebel, who had now stood up from the blow.
"Wait,"
Kilgrave stuttered.
"Something's wrong."
He quietly looked at Rebel and spoke.
"Stand down."
But no purple gleamed in his eyes anymore, and his face fell to anger.
"No! Rebel, you took it!"
When the transfer had taken place, Kilgrave's persuasive power had been squeezed and kicked out of his body when Rebel's strength had entered. "Apparently, Obadiah," Rebel said mockingly, "your body can't hold 2 powers at once." Then Rebel's beautiful eyes gleamed purple, and she spoke in a hypnotic tone for the first time. Chapter 8. Rebel sat on a step outside the warehouse that had been her prison for so long. It was over. With the newly acquired hypnosis powers from the swap, Kilgrave was sleeping in a ball with handcuffs on. Police had swarmed the building, being alerted from the large explosion Kilgrave had set off. Family members had been called, and everything was falling into place, but Rebel sat in silence as police searched the building for Triller. She had told them someone else was in the building, but Rebel doubted that they would actually find her. With Triller's transformation power, she could camouflage and hide with ease. But Rebel sat solemnly. Triller never said goodbye. Never helped me defeat Kilgrave. She was only looking out for herself. But Rebel thought she was truly getting through to her. Apparently not. But then, her sad state was wiped away as a legion of cars pulled into the empty lot and individuals piled out. Rebel's family, her sister, and little siblings, Christian and Abby, Catherine, Malachi, and Malachi's brother Charles, Rebel's best friend Joy, and her sister Lillian. Tears welled up in her as she ran to her friends and family with haste. Hugs and shouts of joy rang out as everyone smiled and gleefully talked to Rebel. Questions upon questions were thrown out. "Are you hurt? What happened?" "We searched for you." "Rebel, you're finally back." It continued on and on for a while, but finally the cops quieted everyone down. Then an officer came up to Rebel. "Ma'am, the building is empty. Whoever was in there, he or she is long gone. This man, laying on the ground, is he the one who kept you captive?" "No, sir, but he deserves jail just as much." The cop laughed. "Trust me, he'll get it." "But be careful," Rebel started. "He has strength. Great strength." "Trust me, we'll deal with him. But, ma'am, we need to know the description of your captor. What did they look—" Then Rebel cut him off. "No, sir. You'll never find her. Ever." Finally, after repeated questioning, Rebel could return home. With a procession of friends and family, they drove home, and Rebel prepared to answer more and more questions. After hours of talking, friends filed out of her house, and quiet ruled. But Christian hadn't left yet as he walked up to Rebel. A tear rolled down his cheek as he approached her. We tried to find you," Christian started with a deep frown. "Me, Abby, Malachi, even your sister Aaliyah. We searched for you. I did research on Justin Lark, that crazy false policeman. We were close, Rebel. We would have found you eventually, I promise." Rebel gave a slight laugh and smiled. "Christian, there's no need to worry. I know you tried. It's not your fault. I was stolen by an alien, bro. It was no normal kidnapping." Christian's eyes went wide. "Aliens don't exist, Rebel." Rebel chuckled again. "Well, superpowers do. How far of a stretch are aliens?" Christian shook his head and sighed. "It's good to have you back, Rebel. I'm sure you gave that alien a hard time." Rebel reached out and embraced Christian, happy to have friends who cared. "How's Eric?" Rebel asked quickly. 10 years in prison, or correctional facility," Christian sighed. "He killed people, though, Rebel. I can't deny he deserves it." "Well, it doesn't change the fact he still needs friends to support him. Let's visit him tomorrow," Rebel said. "Deal," Christian said, before he walked off and out of the door, leaving Rebel in silence. As Rebel laid in her bed that night, she wondered what great feats she could accomplish with her new persuasive powers. As she slept, dreams invaded her peace, and she saw Kilgrave's eyes glaring into her, telling her what to do. She saw Eric suffering in prison, shackled in cold metal chains. Kilgrave stabbed Eric in the heart and laughed as he lunged at Rebel's face. Rebel screamed and woke up with Aaliyah, her sister, leaning over her, with a hand on Rebel's arm. Rebel screamed again. The scare of the dream had done the unthinkable. You stole my power." Rebel looked at Aaliyah with shock. "Why?" "I've spent time with Christian lately," Aaliyah laughed. He said scaring someone is the best way to steal their power. Aaliyah laughed again. I won't just sit in a cell and submit when I have my power. I'll use it, and use it well. You're weak, Rebel. I can be famous. No, Aaliyah, Rebel screamed. This is too much for you. Have you not seen where Eric is? But Aaliyah just chuckled and slid back into bed, a new day of opportunity ahead of her. And she would do better than to be a petty hero. I'm gonna be famous, Aaliyah thought, before sleep finally enveloped her.
Epilogue.
A starship zoomed through space, thrusters on full, blue streams of powerful fire bursted from the engines. The small rocket was spherical in shape, with 4 small wings to enable lightning speeds. Triller sat in the pilot's seat, grunting slightly from a burn on her right arm, caused by a fire-hot section of door that had impacted with her arm from Kilgrave's dramatic entrance. Kilgrave's first bomb must have destroyed the shield generator around Rebel's cell, enabling the door to explode. Triller regretted not spending more time to surround the entire compound in a shield. But she had thought making it invisible would stop intruders. Intruders, not bombs. Triller was soaring over green fields now, sprawling wide on the planet Lourdes V. In the distance, a large, black, looming castle appeared, and Triller reduced the thrust. Then Triller thought of all her failures lately. She had failed to acquire Rebel's power, been intruded on by a mere human man, and now she had to report to Thanos her failure to track where the power was now. As she brought the ship in for a landing, soaring over the dark castle spires, she wondered why she was called back by Thanos. Had she failed more severely than she thought? Was she to be punished? She dropped the ship down vertically into a green courtyard covered in luscious grass, contrasting against the dark castle walls all around. As she entered the giant dark castle, she could never shake the feeling of evil in the place. Thanos was doing good with this power. He just wanted to help. But everything felt wrong in this place. After turning down several dark alleyways, she approached the giant black door to the throne room, and Tadok sat just outside the entrance. Thanos is waiting. Shut up, Triller hissed without a glance. As she creaked open the giant door and walked the hall to the throne, she remembered to a month back, when she had walked the same hall to report of the boy with spider powers. Looking around for little Rauk, Thanos' skittish little servant, she didn't find him, but she saw a pile of bones against the wall before she quickly snapped her head away and focused on the task at hand. At the end of the long hall, Thanos stood from his great chair and approached Triller. He looked different than last she had seen him, his eyes darker and his skin more ragged. She thought it was the sickness worsening in him, but she couldn't shake the feeling of evil emanating from his body.
Triller, my friend,
Thanos spoke with power.
You must wonder why you are here, instead of searching for the newest powered individual. But we must talk, and I believe you needed a break anyway.
Thanos paced, his large boots resounding in the large throne room. Then Triller broke in, speaking quickly. I must apologize, Lord Thanos. I have done wrong to one of your...
Yes, I know, my dear,
Thanos interrupted.
That's what we must talk about. You must never steal the power from my test subjects on Earth.
Then Triller interrupted again. Forgive me, I must speak, and I will not stop until I'm done. I have served you countless years, and worked steadfast, without rest. Yet, for some reason, these great blessings of power you have not given to me. I can prove I am worthy.
I can prove to be worth your blessing. When you die, I am worthy.
Thanos' smile faded, and he walked up to Triller, towering over her, and looked down with a powerful gaze.
Triller, you are my best servant, but I want my best servant to be safe and well. That power is dangerous, Triller. Don't touch it.
But I am strong. If a human can handle it, so can I.
No, Triller.
Thanos towered even taller.
That power is not a blessing. It's no gift.
Triller looked confused.
This power? The Spider-Boy, Rebel, the Taskmaster, all of them? It's not a blessing for those that are worthy?
Thanos looked down, his whole body reeking dark waves of hate and evil.
No, it is not.
Triller's face fell, and she stood in shock.
Then what is this power, Lord Thanos?
Thanos stepped backwards and sat down heavily into his throne. He grinned slightly, and the dark throne room darkened even more.
It's a curse, Triller. My curse.
Thank you for listening to Issue 3 of Trading Hands. This issue is titled Persuasion. Thank you for watching, or listening, and see you next time, people.